All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this training that's going to be walking you through how to actually connect your domain to your funnel or to your website. Okay, so this is going to apply both to funnels or websites. So let me go ahead and show you. If I go ahead and go over to a random one on here, I go over to settings, you'll see that over here, you have to connect this to a specific domain. Otherwise, the actual steps, right, it says, hey, you don't have a domain on here. The same thing is going to apply here over to your websites, is that if you do not have a domain connected, then it's not going to actually be live. Remember, a domain is kind of like your address. Like you have a residential address where you live, right, to get mail. The domain is, hey, where do people go in order to actually get to your website? Okay, so we're going to walk you through exactly how to connect the domain. Now, you should have already purchased your domain. That was a whole separate section in terms of, hey, how do domains work? What is a domain registrar? Where do I actually purchase my domain? And so this is going to assume that you have already purchased your domain. Okay, if you haven't done that, make sure you go over to that training separately. So the very first thing we're going to do inside of ClientKit is we're going to go over here to the bottom where it says settings. Okay, so we're going to go over here to settings. From here, we are then going to go down over to domains. Okay, so settings, we then click on domains. Now, of course, I have some test domains here. Don't worry about those. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through how to go ahead and add it from scratch. We then go ahead and click on add right over here. And from here, it's going to go ahead and tell us, hey, go ahead and input your domain. Now, in my case, I have a random example domain that is purchased through Cloudflare, which again is our recommended domain registrar. So what you're going to do on here is you're going to go ahead and type in your domain name. Okay, obviously do not type in theyassine.com because that is not going to be your domain name. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and enter in the domain name there. And yes, you can also go ahead and add the www. That's not really an issue there, so you can go ahead and do that. And then you go ahead and click on continue. Okay, now when you do that, okay, it is actually going to go ahead and do all of the changes for you. Now, this is really cool. Okay, right here, your domain provider, this is something that ClientKit has done recently that is really, really awesome, is that they are going to detect what is your domain provider, who is your domain registrar, right? And this is, again, the reason why we recommend purchasing your domain from Cloudflare is because they have a very easy and seamless integration with the business platform, okay? Now, what you're going to see on here is that it's going to ask me to authorize my domain, and what it's going to do is going to add some of these what are known as DNS settings to my Cloudflare domain, okay? And so these are what the settings are going to be. Now, in previous trainings, we used to actually have to walk students through how to do this themselves, and that might still be the case for other advanced things when we get to in the future, but the beautiful thing right now is that a ClientKit is going to add all of this for you so that way you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so all we're going to go ahead and click is authorize domain. And when we do that, it is going to go ahead and take us over to our Cloudflare account where we are going to then have to log in. And then once we actually log in, it's going to show us, hey, these are what you are going ahead and authorizing the DNS settings from Lead Connector. Lead Connector is also another name for the platform that ClientKit is built on top of. Okay, and it shows you, hey, these are the settings. You then go ahead and click on authorize. And then when you do that, it's going to go ahead and take you back over to ClientKit. You give it about 30 seconds here. And what's going to happen is that it's going to go ahead and make those changes on the Cloudflare domain registrar for you and add your domain into the actual business platform system. Now, this is so important because once you connect all of this, you can then point that address of your website or your funnel directly to what your domain is going to be. Okay, so let's go over here to the guide and make sure that we have hit all of this while it goes ahead and finishes on here. You'll see it's gone ahead and finished already. But you'll see on here on the ClientKit, we went over to settings, we hit add, and then what we did is we logged into Cloudflare and then went ahead and did all of that for us. And then you'll see, boom, the domain has been added successfully. And what we can now do is actually link the domain with a funnel or a website, right? So if I click on this, it'll show me all of these different funnels or websites, and I also have additional options that I can do on here, okay? So what I'm going to go ahead and do for right now is I'm not going to, if you know which one you want to link, so let's say in this case, Total Wellness Nutrition is the test website that we were messing around with. If you know which one you want to link, you can do that here. If you don't, you can go ahead and click on the X. That's not really a problem there, okay? And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go back over to the website and connect that. Now, real quick, I do want to go ahead and mention here, you see this little red icon on here? What this is showing you, and this is important to know as well, is that the actual, if you remember in the domain training, we talked about the naked domain. The naked domain is the domain without any www, right? This is the actual domain. Now, whenever anybody goes to www dot whatever the domain actually might be, what you want to do is you want to be able to redirect the traffic from www to your naked domain. Now, if none of that makes sense, don't worry about it. But what I want you to know here is that ClientKit is actually set up to automatically set up this redirect. So if you go over here to URL redirects on the left side, what you'll see is that what ClientKit has automatically done for us, which in the past we actually had to do this manually ourselves, which now you'll see it actually does it for us, which is that anytime anybody goes to www dot whatever the domain name might be, it'll go ahead and actually forward them to the naked domain, which is very helpful and which is very, very awesome. Okay, so now that that is done, what we're going to do is we are going to go back. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go back over to sites. We're going to go back over to websites. We're going to go back over to the website or funnel. Remember, all these same settings apply to funnel as well, okay? What we're going to then go ahead and do is click on settings right here. Once we click on settings, right over here where it says domains, we can now actually go ahead and connect it. Now, this is very important. We want to go ahead and connect it to the naked domain, okay? So what we want to do is we want to connect it to the one that is not www, okay? So we just go ahead and click on that right there. And then boom, just like that, after that we hit save. And then what's going to happen now is that it is going to go ahead and put that entire website on the actual domain. And boom, just like that. It's literally as simple as that. Now, there are actual specific page paths, right? So each of these, it's called a path. This is when somebody goes to your domain, right? If I go ahead and hit on preview link, what you're going to notice on here, I'm going to drag this down so you can see, it says theyassine.com/home-9270, right? And the reason it's saying that is because this specific page has this specific path. And so what we're going to do is in the very next training video, we're going to go ahead and walk you through how to update your paths, both for funnels and websites. So that way you can have a very clean path up here now that you actually have your domain set up, right? Because before we did this entire training, it would not be on your actual domain, because now it is on your domain. And from there, we can actually go ahead and clean up the paths. So that way everything looks nice and tidy. Okay. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been this specific training on how to connect your domain. Just take it step by step. If you have any questions, run into any issues, make sure you do go ahead and reach out to ClientKit support, or you can also go ahead and reach out, or I should say, and go ahead and reach out after and if you do not get the help you need from ClientKit to the community. So that way one of the community members who might be ahead of you might be able to go ahead and help you with this, or, you know, they might have figured it out already as well. Okay. So settings, domains, connected, Cloudflare, automatic, takes care of it. From there, connected inside of the website. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. With that being said, we will catch you in the next training.